everyone. I welcome you all to today's focus of the day session. Today we are going to talk about the heat apocalypse in Europe. Europe has been going through intense heat waves, and that's why we have picked this topic for our discussion today. We are going to talk about this topic in the following sequence. First of all, we shall be looking at why it is in news. Then the reasons behind extreme heat waves, followed by our understanding of heat dome, thereafter the long-term impact of such phenomena, and finally the prelims and mains based practice questions for you all. But before that, I want you all to be informed about the Mains 8 2022 program by Analyst IAS, wherein you can get help for polity, essay, public administration and ethics. Do check out the details given over here and apply soon to improve your score in the upcoming mains examination, and of course to avail the early bird discount. Getting back to the topic, why in news? So the wildfires are raging across Europe and heat waves have intensified, which has led to drought conditions prevailing in the Europe. Dozens of towns and regions across Europe reeled under what has been described as the heat apocalypse, which has caused widespread devastation this year. Wildfires caused by the combination of extreme heat and dry weather have destroyed approximately 19,000 hectares of forest in southwestern France, and thousands of people had to be evacuated to temporary shelters. Italy, on the other hand, has been reeling under a drought, with the Po River Basin, one of Europe's food bowls, not having received rains in more than 200 days so far. That is how severe the drought is going on in Europe currently. Now, what is behind the extreme heat wave? Why it is happening so? Scientists are near unanimous that the heat waves are a result of climate change caused by human activity, the rising global temperature, which this year led to deviations above the normal by as much as 15 degrees in Antarctica and by more than 3 degrees in the North Pole, have also induced changes in the old wind patterns. So the climate change is intensifying, and now the nature is getting back at the human race. These changes turned Western Europe into what has been described as heat dome. We are going to talk about heat dome in the upcoming slides. But for now, just know that heat dome is a low pressure area that began to attract hot air from the North Africa. So it's a low pressure area anyways, from where warm air rises upwards. But what's filling in the low pressure area in Europe is hot air from Northern Africa. Now let's get into the details of heat dome. So a heat dome is caused when atmosphere traps hot ocean air as if bounded by a lid or a cap. The upper air weather patterns are slow to move, referred to by meteorologists as an omega block. Blocks in meteorology are large-scale patterns in the atmospheric pressure fields that are nearly stationary, effectively blocking or redirecting migratory cyclones. They are also known as blocking highs or blocking anticyclones. These blocks can remain in place for several days or even weeks, causing the area affected by them to have the same kind of weather for an extended period of time. Example, precipitation for some areas, clear skies for other areas. So when such a blockage happens, the air gets trapped. So if the air is not moving in a particular area, similar kind of weather pattern would be noticed, which will get prolonged. If it is precipitating in a particular area, the precipitation may get prolonged day on day. That particular area may experience rainfall or snowfall or so, right? Precipitation. But in an area where no precipitation is happening and this trap happens to be there, there shall be none for a prolonged period of time. That's what has been happening in Europe. So in still dry summer conditions, a mass of warm air builds up. The high pressure from Earth's atmosphere pushes the warm air down. The air is compressed, and as its net heat is now in a smaller volume, so it must get hotter. The warm air attempts to rise. The high pressure above it forces it down to get hotter, and its pressure grows higher and higher. So warm air is attempting to rise up, but there is higher pressure being exerted by the atmosphere. So it is pushing it downwards once again, right? Now in this tussle of rising up and being pushed downwards, it gets compressed at a particular threshold wherever it forms, and then the tussle keeps on going on in that very area itself. So what happens is it keeps on getting compressed, and thus also the heat gets more and more. So the high pressure acts as a dome, high pressure of the atmosphere, which is pushing it down, which is not letting it rise up enough. It is acting as what? It is acting as a dome, a lid, which has trapped the air, causing everything below it to get hotter and hotter. In the case of the US, the record temperatures are being linked to changes in the jet stream, a narrowband of westerly air currents that circulate several kilometers above the Earth's surface, while a conventionally strong jet stream would bring cooler air from the northern Atlantic. In recent years, the jet stream has weakened and split into two, leading to intense and more frequent heat waves over parts of American continent. So is it just Europe that's been experiencing heat waves? No, even America has been going through the same for several years now. So in this particular diagram, a heat dome formed over American continent has been showcased. You can see for yourself how heat wave works under a heat dome, which we have already talked about. So what are the long-term impacts of such heat waves? With the frequency and duration of heat waves rising this summer, Europe's energy requirements have shot up at just the wrong time. Why the wrong time? Because Russia-Ukraine crisis is going on, and Russia is the major supplier of energy, fuel to Europe.
So that's all for today. Stay connected for more such important videos.
So the wrong time is in the midst of rising fuel costs caused by a ban on Russian gas that European politicians imposed in response to Ukraine invasion. In Germany, despite widespread acknowledgement of the urgent need to curb carbon emissions, even Green Party politicians are speaking of replacing Russian gas with the domestic coal. The greater frequency, intensity, and duration of heat waves have also been linked to the growing incidence of drought in different parts of Europe. With the winters ending sooner, vegetation starts to grow sooner. Before the snows of winter have replenished the water tables and the rivers, this has led to progressive depletion of water tables and increasingly drier soil and shallower rivers. While the reduction in soil moisture has made forest fires more probable, drying rivers, critical for both agriculture and hydropower, have affected harvest and energy security too. So Europe seems to be in a grave condition from nature's end right now, and also the ways to combat this situation have been made difficult for Europe because of the Russia-Ukraine crisis. Now let's look at the prelims practice question. What is the exact sequence of atmospheric layers in the ascending order from the surface of the Earth? So you need to identify the correct sequence. Your options are as follows. A. Troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, ionosphere. B. Troposphere, exosphere, mesosphere, stratosphere. C. Stratosphere, mesosphere, exosphere, troposphere. And D. Ionosphere, troposphere, mesosphere, stratosphere. The answer to the sequence has to be in ascending order. So the sequence has to be from the bottommost layer for your understanding, making it simpler for you. So the sequence has to be from the bottommost layer to the topmost layer. So pick your answer accordingly and put it in the comment box. The main question for you today is discuss the impacts of heat domes. You need to answer this particular question in 150 words and send in your answers to us on WhatsApp to get it reviewed. This is it for today. Thank you so much for joining in. I shall see you again tomorrow. Till then, take care and stay tuned.